Greetings. Welcome to a video presentation about the HLC criteria for the 2016-17 assurance argument. Today we're going to focus on faculty. So we will review all 5 criteria, but we'll spend more time on criteria 3 and 4. So today you'll be able to watch this video about 5 criteria. Then you'll have a chance to participate in forum discussions, and then finally we will conclude with the National Faculty Meeting. So the goals for today's presentation. We want to acquaint you with the new criteria so that you have a sense of what we are going to be addressing in the assurance argument. We want to know what matters to you as faculty. We hope that you'll have your antenna up as you listen to this video and as you participate in forum discussions to let us know what matters to you. Third, the steering committee that has been meeting needs information from you from your perspective. So as faculty, what are you seeing as important that the steering committee needs to consider? And then finally, we need your help in identifying evidence for the assurance argument. So whether you can provide us with evidence or you can direct us to evidence, the steering committee will be very interested in your input in the forum discussions and in the subcommittees for each of the criterion. So the first criteria has to do with mission, and it is stated by the Higher Learning Commission that the institution's mission is clear and articulated publicly, that it guides the institution's operations. The university does have a new mission, and it currently reads, Union Institute University educates highly motivated adults who seek academic programs to engage, enlighten, and empower them to pursue professional goals and a lifetime of learning, service, and social responsibility. You'll see that the new mission statement reflects the previous vision statement that focused on engaging, enlightening, and empowering our students. The Higher Learning Commission wants to be sure that the mission guides our operations, and by this they mean academic programs, student support services, and enrollment, and that all are consistent with the mission. That we articulate our mission publicly. This is on the web, in our various publications, in our own research, and any time that we refer to the university, that we can refer also to our mission. It wants to be certain that we understand our relationship with society, so that we have evidence that the university recognizes its role in a multicultural society. Finally, that the university demonstrates its commitment to the public good and engages with identified external constituencies and communities of interest. The second criterion has to do with integrity, and it refers specifically to the ethical and responsible conduct of the university. And it reads that the institution acts with integrity, its conduct is ethical and responsible. By that they mean we are committed to freedom of expression and the pursuit of truth, both in teaching and in our research, and that we will at this point include our commitment to intellectual property. Finally, they're looking for us to demonstrate responsible acquisition, discovery, and application of knowledge. There we're talking about the integrity of our research, the guidance we give to students regarding the ethical use of information resources, and that we enforce our university policies on academic honesty and academic integrity.
Well, thank you. My name is Professor Frank Scala. I am the Chair of Education. I'm with the Bachelor of Science program, and I currently work in 3 programs: early childhood education, education majors, and child development. I am currently stationed in Miami, but our programs in early childhood are more national, and we're working towards building those. Today, Nelson and I are working on Criterion 3. Criterion 3, as you see from the slide, is teaching and learning, quality, resources, and support. and the institution provides high-quality education wherever and however its offerings are delivered. Could I have the next slide, please? Yeah, so our programs need to be appropriate to higher education, demonstrate acquisition, application, and integration, that we have qualified staff for all of our programs, that there is a sufficient number of faculty and staff to provide the services that we offer, that we have support services, and that we fulfill the claims for an enriched educational environment. This last point is something that we will be stressing during this presentation as something that we're going to be talking about and asking faculty to help us define what that means. But what I did was I decided that in looking at teaching and learning, there were really three aspects of the criterion that they really asked us to stress, and I'll go back to those, and that's the quality of the program, the resources provided to the programs, and the support provided to the programs. And I'm looking at it from the perspective that how does our mission help us move in that direction? So really what we're looking at is the quality of our programs in terms of supporting the engagement, enlightenment, and empowering of our students, the resources and support to allow us to provide a high quality education. So that's kind of just a quick overview. Nelson, do you want to, just address?
Yeah, Frank, I want you to, if you don't mind, from the perspective of a faculty member, there's one area that I want to make sure that we highlight clearly for the other faculty, and that is that we provide support wherever and however the program is offered. As a faculty member, can you share a little bit about how we are providing support wherever and however? What does that mean to you as you see this in the criteria?
Sure. Yeah, from my perspective as a faculty member, when I look at the kind of support, number one, do we have the kinds of programs that, the kind of curriculum that we need to provide our programs in a way that allows us to offer those programs, whether it's in Florida, whether it's in Cincinnati. Do we have the same curriculum? Do we have the same resources? Do we have the same support? So when I hear the words, wherever and however, the wherever is in any of our centers. The however is whether or not it's a full online program. We have cohort programs in, at least at the bachelor's level, we have cohort programs with child development. We have cohort programs with criminal justice. When I think of the doctoral programs, I think of the residencies. So for me, it's really do we offer the same kinds of support to all of our programs? And I think the definition then of however and wherever has to apply to how is the program delivered and where is it delivered. And I think that there needs to be the consistency across all levels, and I see that being the definition of what we need to identify.
I think it's going to be important when we have these conversations with the faculty at Union that we really talk about the wherever and however. That is, are we providing consistent support, and to define that support and define that support mechanism for all of our faculty, especially at our institution where we weigh heavily and have a large structure of affiliated adjunct faculty. How are we making sure that they are part of faculty governance, that they are part of the academic quality, that they are part of the curriculum development? We have a lot going on at Union, and we have a dispersed faculty throughout the country. I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to engage conversation around that piece, especially as we are an institution that have faculty spread out throughout the country. So Thanks, Frank.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Scott, and I'm the director of the Clinical Mental Health Counseling Program in the master's degree. And I'm also teaching in the Clinical Mental Health Counseling Program, and I teach in the PsyD program. And I'm here with my co-chair, Pete Kakavari. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm Pete Kakavari. I am the National Dean for Undergraduate Programs here in Cincinnati.
So Pete and I are going to be talking a little bit about Criterion 4 to introduce you to its components. The Criterion is an extension of teaching and learning, but it's focusing on evaluation and improvement. It reads, the institution demonstrates responsibility for the quality of its educational programs, learning environments, and support services, and it evaluates their effectiveness for student learning through processes designed to promote continuous improvement. Although that's a mouthful, there are it can be broken down into three primary components. So the first component asks us to demonstrate responsibility for the quality of our education programs. So this is in such things as practicing regular program review. This is having a process and evidence for how we evaluate credits that we transcribe, or the policies that are involved in credits that we accept and transfer, so we assure the quality of those credits. It's also looking at things such as how do we structure prerequisites for courses? How do we ensure that the curriculum is sequential or it's integrated? How do we take responsibility for the rigor of our courses? Any expectations for student learning, and how do we communicate that, as well as providing students access to learning resources and support services, and also assuring the authority of our faculty qualifications. In this component, we're also looking at those programs that are required to maintain specialized accreditation. For example, our Bachelor's of Social Work program or our Clinical Mental Health program. Any of the programs that require additional accreditation, can we maintain those specialized accreditations? Also, do we evaluate the success of our graduates? What evidence do we have in the evaluation of our graduates? And what indicators do we deem are appropriate to our mission in doing that? The second component is demonstrating a commitment to educational achievement. So this is all about our ongoing assessment of learning outcomes. So not only do we have clearly stated goals about the learning outcomes at the university level as well as at the program level, but we also assess the achievement of those learning outcomes. So we not only say that we do it, but that we do it, and then that we use the information that we get from those assessments to then inform and improve our programs, and that the methods that we're using here reflect good practice. In the third component, it's very similar in terms of structure to the second component, but this is demonstrating a commitment to educational improvement. So whereas component B looked at ongoing assessment of learning outcomes, component C is focused on retention, persistence, and completion rates so that we can demonstrate continuous improvement for the university. It is structured in much the same way, where we want to have defined goals for student retention, persistence, and completion rates. We also want to be able to collect and analyze that information and use that information for continuous improvement, and that our methodologies reflect good practice.
Okay, so let me talk a little bit about why this matters to faculty. Let's talk very broadly about the institution as learner. Right, we're familiar with faculty members wanting their students to be continuous learners, to be lifelong learners, and what the value is for that. Well, we just broaden that out to the institution at large. The institution also needs to be a continuous learner, a lifelong learner, and that's something that the Higher Learning Commission is really looking for. So these are within criterion 4 some of the ways that we can do that. So if you think about faculty as learners, right? We have, again, faculty want our students to learn, to and get what they need to be successful in their professional disciplines. So as faculty members, we want to know, how do we do our job better? How do we continually improve and become even better tomorrow than we are today? So criterion 4A looks at, as Jennifer mentioned, some things like program reviews, right? We get input from faculty about how the curriculum is working, how effective is it with students. You know, do we need to change out certain courses? Do we need to change from a capstone to a project? You know, whatever, based on your experience in the classroom actually interacting with students. You know, the course rigor, are the courses of sufficient rigor at the different levels, at the undergraduate, you know, 100 versus a 400, the undergraduate level versus the graduate level, and that sort of thing. We need faculty input and experience for that, and faculty get to learn more of that as they're going along. Obviously, faculty qualifications are important, and we want to have qualified faculty teaching our students in the classroom. And then finally, student learning resources, right? Student success and things like the writing center, the math center, and those sorts of things, the library, making sure that those things are available. So our faculty need to be familiar with those resources. All right. Let's talk about the difference between teaching and learning. Just because we're teaching doesn't mean that students are learning. So that's why HLC is so focused on assessment. Assessment is how we understand what it is students are actually learning. And that's a whole cycle of setting forth learning outcomes that we say students are going to come away with after this course, after this program, then analyzing, okay, do we have documentation that shows whether they did or didn't achieve that? If they didn't achieve it, do we know why? We have to learn why, and then we have to make adjustments, whether it's to curriculum, whether it's to resources and student support systems. But we learn from that, we make changes, and then we reassess again. We take the measurement again, and we keep that cycle going as we try ever to improve. And finally, just in thinking about getting students to the goal of graduation. We all want students to complete our course and do well in that, but we also know that's just one step along the path. We really want them to complete the program. We want them to get their education, get their degree, and then go out and be successful in whatever endeavor they're going on to next. So we really want to be able to make sure that happens, whenever possible. I know as faculty members we want to be able to go to graduation, see our students celebrate that achievement, walk across the stage, see how happy they and their families are that they've accomplished this, and that's ultimately the goal of the faculty member and of the institution. So how do we make that happen? We need to focus on things like retention, whether it's student support services, whether it's making curriculum work for adults, and in the whether it's in the online environment, whether it's face-to-face, or whether it's a hybrid course. We know that satisfied graduates are more likely to be advocates for the university, and that can translate into greater enrollment, and that that provides financial stability for the university. It provides more teaching opportunities for faculty, and obviously it provides for successful lives for our students. So those are the goals, and that's what it is that Higher Learning Commission is seeking in criterion 4 and in all the criteria, and in this particular criterion, how it relates to faculty.
Criterion 5 is about resources, planning, and institutional effectiveness. The Higher Learning Commission is looking to see that we have the resources, structures, and processes sufficient to fulfill our mission, improve the quality of our educational offerings, and respond to future challenges and opportunities. It's looking very much at our ability to plan for the future. So what that means then in terms of core components It's looking to see that we can support our current educational programs and plans for maintaining and strengthening quality in the future. This is talking about fiscal and human resources. We're looking now at the qualifications and the training of our faculty and our staff. It's looking for our ability to promote effective leadership and support collaborative processes. The focus in this second core component is very much on the Board of Trustees and faculty governance. So as we look at our faculty council, we look at ARC, UCRC, the various groups in which we have faculty responsible for governance and leadership here at the university. Third, that we are engaged in systematic and integrated planning. So in addition to having a strategic plan, they're looking at our ability to align our resources with our mission and our priorities, that we are linking assessment of student learning with operations and budgeting, and finally that our planning encompasses the entire university with an understanding of our current capacity and the impact of fluctuations that it can occur from year to year. And then the fourth that deals with working systematically to improve our performance. They're looking for documentation and evidence of our performance, how we learn from the operations that we conduct, and how we are systematically improving our institutional effectiveness. So with those 5 criteria, we can conclude today's presentation. We invite you to participate in forum discussions. If you will go to the faculty page in Campus Web and click on My Groups at the bottom left, you will see a group entitled VNFM for Virtual National Faculty Meeting Core Criteria. When you open that, in the left margin, you will see the option for discussions. There is one discussion for each criterion, and we invite you to enter in there and discuss the issues that matter to you and that you recognize as important to all faculty. The co-chairs will be participating in those discussions and may in fact list some additional prompts, and as I said, we're focusing on what matters to you and where can we get evidence. Those discussions will be open from May 7th through May 21. So you're welcome to move in and out and interact in each of those 5 discussion points. We will then gather on May 28th for the National Faculty Meeting, where your co-chairs, who you just saw today, will present a follow-up in terms of the trends that they're picking up from the discussion and additional questions that they may have for faculty in order to address particularly criteria 3 and 4, but then 1, 2, and 5 as well. Finally, we will be convening criteria subcommittees. There will be one subcommittee for each criterion. If there's one that is of particular interest to you, you can notify either the criterion co-chair or myself, or you can wait to see if there's an invitation that we know that you've got a particular area of interest or expertise, and we would invite you to please join us in working on the assurance argument. So we are beginning now about a 1.5 year process. We know that the Higher Learning Commission will be coming February of 2017. So we will convene committees, we will have an orientation and begin gathering evidence probably in August, and then analyzing that evidence to be able to write an assurance argument. So thank you for your time, and we invite you please to join the discussion and help us to build a strong assurance argument.